Welcome back to the English broadcast of the LPL. It's week 8, day 5 currently, as we are still in our first matchup of today. It's Rogue Warriors and TOP, and Rogue Warriors definitely showing that they're one of the reasons why they're the most dominant teams in the LPL currently over TOP. Not really showing all their cards, not even going with the usual Rogue Warriors strategy of playing around the Doinby. They just kind of brought out a whole bunch of different picks and still won the game.
I'm so hyped to see Game 2 because the way Rogue Warriors are playing, I'm going to bet that we're going to see even more new champions coming out from their rosters. They don't want to repeat the same thing. The message has already been out. We play Kai'Sa. We play Ryze in the top lane. What's the next message going to be?
Play Kai'Sa in mid lane. Play Kai'Sa in jungle.
Yeah, she's actually more played in AD in jungle than mid lane, I would say.
Yeah, but yeah, we don't really know yet because we've only seen one in the major regions, and that was the last game that we casted Clement. So maybe it could move to different lanes. We just don't have the tape yet. But indeed, it was really nice to see coming out from Rogue Warriors that they have a huge flexibility in this one. And TOP has to look towards the second game now. And I do wonder whether they'll change up tactics, because definitely the movement to Rumble was A, necessary because Gnar was banned, but B, something new coming out from Marin so far on the split. We've seen Renekton before from him, but more often than not, he'll just prioritize the Gnar when he has the opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. So Marin actually has played a fair bit of the Rumble in the LPL so far, but he's currently 0-4 on the pick, and I think there's very good reasoning why that is. We've talked about on the analyst desk, Dom and Rusty mentioned that he's the most ganked top laner in the LPL. So if you're the most ganked top laner, Rumble is typically not going to work very well for you. So I guess the big question here for Marin is he going to be able to swap to the red side now that they have side selection, and can he get something that can maybe punish Mouse, have a bit more impact in the later game, be more independent in a sense?
That would be nice to see, but so often we actually see from Marin that he will go for priority picks. You know, if Gnar's left open, he would straight up first pick it. On red side, he won't even wait for like the last pick to look for a counter pick.
Well, I will say that Marin is one to experiment. If there's one top laner where you want to see new picks from, Marin is actually a very good source. We remember back in the LCK, he had his Morgana top stint. He had his Mundo top stint. And so far in the LPL, he's been the only one to play the Kennen pick as well. So there's there's definitely a lot of things that he could still pull out.
Yeah. And whether TOP will also maybe look towards the bottom lane as well and play around that, because they definitely know that they'll play around top side. Anyway, as we get into Champions with the second game here with Rogue Warriors and TOP, let's see if TOP have anything else for us, if they've prepared anything else coming into today, because it is a Goliath task they have to go up against in Rogue Warriors.
I'm sorry, I'm still caught up on that sign right there. They definitely have the same expression.
True. TOP will ban away the Cassiopeia, the Vladimir, and the Xayah against Rogue Warriors. It will be a Gnar, Camille, actually the same as game 1, bans towards Marin, and the Swain will actually come out towards Korn and Marin as well, but it does leave open the Caitlyn for TOP, though they prioritize the Tahm Kench.
The Cassiopeia ban is the one that's really interesting for me because Rogue Warriors are very famous for their Ryze players. Doinby is an incredible Ryze player, and banning out the Cassiopeia basically means that Rogue Warriors can first pick Ryze without any hesitations. So I'm not sure why TOP is doing it. It's basically taking away a counter from them.
Yeah, Rogue Warriors will also lock in the Ryze for either Mouse or Doinby. We saw Mouse actually pick up the Ryze for the first time in the last game, and Olaf for Flawless as well. So a takeaway obviously from Karen, but basically one of the strongest junglers right now in the current meta. Korn will get his hands on Galio as well very early on, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's the Caitlyn lock in here. It was banned away against Chocho in the last game, and it's just been a big pick for him in general. Yeah, it is his second most played champion, and I do like the Caitlyn here because it's one of the safer picks. Oh, but Jhin is something that Chocho is actually known for, and the buff is on 8.5. Might give them a pretty good win condition. Basically what Jhin allows TOP to do is if Rogue Warriors over-focus on the top lane, then Jhin is the best at punishing uneven number of matches. If you have a 5v4, then Jhin is so good because he provides so much CC, and he can do it from such a long distance. And he's playing into SMLZ, who was the first to pick up Jhin in the LPL, so SMLZ definitely knows how to play against this one. Every AD carrier is playing it once upon a time. Braum with lock-in for Rogue Warriors over to Kahlua, and now it's back to the bans. So Jarvan gets taken away from Karen, so no, none of that Jarvan-Galio combo, none of that. Also no Camille-Galio, so you have to go elsewhere. There is still Zac available if they want to go that direction. Yeah, Zac is the big one we're looking at right now. That combo is very deadly in the bot lane. What this means is I actually feel like TOP can go for something much more riskier on Marin.
they can let him play a Fiora or something, and if Rogue Warriors try to gank him too much, if there's a 3-man and TOP get to trade in the bot side, then that would always be an advantage for TOP.
Rogue Warriors will take away the Kha'Zix away from Karin as well, still leaving open the Zac, and Ezreal was going to be the ban there towards SMLZ.
Great ban of the Ezreal. Ezreal is the only safe pick currently in the meta right now. You could say Tristana, but her range has been nerfed, and Caitlyn is also off the table. Actually, sorry, Caitlyn is still on the table, but Ezreal is one of those like high mobility picks that can dodge out of a lot of the damage and the traps that TOP are setting, and she's instantly taken.
Not locked in just yet, Clement. Hold your horses. Rogue Warriors have a bunch of different places they can go to in terms of the AD carry. They have the Varus, they have the Caitlyn, they have the Kai'Sa, and it will be Varus in the end.
Varus is a bit riskier here, but still a very strong champion in terms of just the trading.
Ooh, hovering over the Nocturne is great with the Galio and has been buffed massively on 8-5.
That's basically like a Hellfire missile. You got zoning, you can auto-lock targets. The thing about Nocturne currently is he's very much a ganking jungler now early, just because of how much sustain he got buffed in 8.5, and also the Q missile speed really helps him lock onto targets. I'm really not surprised to see Nocturne being picked at all. It's a very strong pick in this meta.
Yeah, being able to actually impact some of those lanes pre-6 as well is definitely going to be big for Nocturne. Before he would shoot out the Q, the mid laner would stop, look at it, and then just sidestep, and he'd be like, well, I guess I have no gank pressure, and we'll go back to the jungle and farm till 6. For now, TOP will look towards their top laner. Galio will go to the mid lane. Looks like it will be Cho'Gath in the end for Marin.
Oh, okay. So TOP actually going for a much less riskier route in the top lane. They're basically focusing solely onto the bot lane.
Rogue Warriors 15 seconds left. They get the chance to pick Mouse's top lane, so he gets a nice preferential lane into the Cho'Gath here. He might actually just go for a Tonk as well.
Oh.
Nope, he won't. He will just go for the Rise again in game 2. I like it. Join V will pick up the Karmas for the mid lane, rotate the Rise to the top lane, and of course SMLZ will get some more protection as well in the bottom lane.
Alright, that's an interesting pickup. I didn't really like the Scion because it's actually isn't a very good lane into the Cho'Gath. Now what the Rise does offer is a lot of ganking pressure early, and if you're going against a Nocturne, Nocturne pretty much doesn't want to help you level 3, so that's a big thing we should look for in this game. Level 3, Olaf starts blue, goes to red, and goes top for the gank. Like, how is TOP going to answer that? That's actually very difficult to answer. I think Marin's not going to have a very good time in terms of the laning phase.
Let's see if Rogue Warriors focus towards the top side, because the point-and-click CC will be there this time in the form of Rise. See the coaches just shaking hands as well. Staker's definitely cooked up an interesting meal for us this series and in the second game as well. But Rogue Warriors moving towards as a fantastic rendition.
If you don't know what that is, that was Steak.
Oh no, I recognize it. It was the hair that really gave it away, I think.
Yeah, it does have very peculiar hair.
We do have some great artists in our audience. But yeah, to go back onto the Rogue Warriors point, I've gone for a more conventional composition. Moved away from the Kai'Sa, moved away from the double AP damage in the top lane and mid lane, and go back to the Karma in the mid lane for Doinby.
Yeah, so basically what these compositions want to do, TOP is taking the trade bot to the absolute extreme. They have the guided missile composition between Nocturne and Galio, and also the Jhin. What Jhin does for this composition, it means that you don't need to push the bottom wave in to do a tower dive. That's how good the Jhin is. It really changes the bot lane dynamic when you have a 4v2. And on the other hand, Rogue Warriors has actually a very top-focused type of a scenario for their early game. That's one of the best 2v2s in terms of the top lane ganking pressure you're going to put out with Rise and also the Olaf.
That being said, there is opportunities for TOP to bite back. Looking forward to the Nocturne and Galio combination to come out as well. Point and click, and then get all that damage down as we get onto the rift for Game 2 between TOP and Rogue Warriors. Yeah, Rogue Warriors have it on lockdown. If you have the bigger crowd, always go second. Have that much more impact. Wow, there's so many. The altars are out in force today. I will not. Usually we don't get many hand-drawn signs.
That one says that SMLZ, I will marry you.
Really?
Yes.
SMLZ, what's his response? Well, he's obviously delighted. Marin, of course, signs every single time. Every time Marin's playing, He just gets signs. It's usually the front row as well, from what I can see.
That one says, Marin, you have a big head, but don't worry.
What? Wonderful. Rogue Warriors will look for this invade here, and Chocho, nice little bit of damage with the dancing grenade, has gone Comet himself in this one. Looking towards Karin, he's gone for the electrocute on Nocturne. Fairly easy for him to proc as well.
Yes, most Challenger Nocturnes do go for the Warriors and try to burst targets down in a single rotation. You do see Devourers a lot in solo queue, but for pro play, it has mainly been Warriors.
And obviously we have to talk about what's going on screen right now, because Flawless definitely just beat up Karin, took us lunch money. Now Karin has to... it looked like he picked up his red buff there, he got some assistance from bottom lane, and now move towards the top side, but Flawless 100% knows exactly where Karin is now.
Oh, and look at this from Flawless. He's actually neglecting the bottom side of his jungle to match the Nocturne. Nocturne's coming in, but I think he's spotted. Yeah, Rogue Warriors is pinging him out.
Yeah, very obvious, and Flawless will just take his next camp right here, which would be Raptors once again. Flawless is just reading Karin like a book.
Yeah. We're seeing the buffs from Jhin right now, so a bit more damage on the Q, a better AD scaling ratio as well. And now you can actually stun someone with your curtain call. If you use your W, you can stun someone that has been hit by your curtain call.
Pretty sweet. More opportunities for Jhin to get more utility later into the game, even though he already had a bunch of utility, but now he'll have even more. Karin moving towards the top side. You can see some of the changes on Nocturne in this patch. We'll get a lot more health back, specifically when you're on big camps like Raptors, but he didn't get Raptors in this one.
Yeah, that's the thing I wanted to mention. You can see the Umbra Blades, so by taking away the Raptors, Flawless taking away the Raptors, it actually meant that Karin couldn't get his health back. And that's pretty big because if you think about it, that's 5 health on 6 targets. So he's missing 30 health sustained in his clear. And what that means is that Mouse can basically push this lane without worrying too much.
And if you also start the camp with Nocturne with Umbra Blades up, you can also get 2 rotations. So that's a lot of health that he's missing right now. And you're maybe looking for him to start impacting these lanes pre-6. Well, right now, he has to go back to base. So Flawless can continue going for a full clear, goes towards his Gromp right now. This will probably be the last camp he takes before going back himself. But you will see that he will get further ahead, especially in terms of experience. This will be level 4, I believe, after Gromp.
Yep, well called out. And he should be looking to control the top side, I would suppose. For the bottom side, it's actually very hard for there to be kills here, especially if Chocho is content to be pushed in.
And in this bottom lane, SMLZ is actually getting the advantage with this Varus, is pushing the Jhin in right now. Constantly just getting more and more minions as this is pushed in. And again, we're looking towards Karin, who goes towards his bottom side of the map. We'll go towards the Krugs right here.
We do have to talk about the big mismatch for this bottom lane. Statistically speaking, TOP's bottom lane is the worst early game. They're on average down by 480 gold. A lot of it does come down to 2v2 solo kills. It shouldn't be called a solo kill, but basically a lane kill. TOP, Chocho, and Phage have not been able to stay alive even without jungle pressure. So we do have to keep very close tabs on that and monitor how they do in the bot lane.
For sure. I mean, Phage is a relatively new addition. Obviously, it's difficult to say that because we've seen Phage before, but Cat is usually the main starter for TOP, and Phage has to take over the, shot calling and also being the support for the team. And the first time we saw Phage coming back into the LPL, he was really good. In fact, I was saying that he should probably be like the MVP of the game because he just had extremely good plays. So Phage, he's definitely talented, but we'll see if they can upset the balance in the bottom lane. For now, Karin will move up to the top lane here on the Nocturne, looking towards Mouse.
He can stop the Rune Prison.
There's tags him with the Dustbringer. Follows up, we'll get the fear off as well. Flash forwards out from Karin, and that's so much damage out from early Nocturne now. Flawless will follow up though in this 1 versus 2. He might be able to get a return kill, but the teleport out from TOP, it puts Flawless on a timer. He knows that Dormy's coming up, but Korn will complete the teleport.
That was actually an unnecessary teleport from Korn. I would actually call that a mistake. Even with Dormy coming in, TOP, their top and jungler were in no danger, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're just going to try to push out the wave and let Marin reset here. What I really want to highlight about that gank was the CC chain coming out from Marin and Karin. So Karin had his shield up for most of the duration, and then Marin instantly followed up with the silence. So at no point could Mouse actually use his Rune Prison and get himself out of that situation. He couldn't even use his flash. That was really well chained together by the jungler and the top laner from TOP.
Good coordination playing through top side. This time Marin's also on the tank as well, so it's not on the carry, who will still out of control. However, Flawless is looking to make a counter gank, including Doimi coming up to the top lane. Flash, undertow, connects the first one. Now Marin is going to be constantly slowed, allowing Mouse to catch up, get the Rune Prison down, Doimi to deal the damage as well, and Marin, just so much CC. Doimi eventually finishes him off.
This is very classic Marin. This is exactly how Marin plays in solo queue. So that was a very greedy teleport. He wanted to unfreeze the wave. I understand that, but it's still kind of unnecessary to teleport instantly back into a lane where you just saw the mid laner and the enemy jungler.
Also, when you're the most ganked laner in the league, you know that people are just going to gravitate towards you, so
yeah,
it definitely was risky.
That play could have been done by after he saw Doimi back in the mid lane. That would have been a much safer timing. It's very typical for Marin. That's how he plays.
See some pretty insane stats out from SMLZ's Varus, but it's also easy when you've won so many games as well. SMLZ receives a lot of the resources, and here's the way that they win games in the end. Karin's got that level 6, will activate the Paranoia, jumps right on towards SMLZ here, but the defense out from double summons being burnt, and Kahlua jumping towards his ally will save the day, but Karin burnt 3 summoners.
Yeah, I can't help but feel that this gank was a little bit, the timing was a bit off. I would have preferred for him to wait for the bot lane to be level 6. As Nocturne, you really do need your early Paranoias to work out for you. He is a bit of a snowball champion. You are building full attack damage. You are kind of like an assassin. You're never going to be a tank. And if you don't get your first Paranoias to work, then you're pretty much irrelevant in the later phases of the game. So for me, that gank was a bit forced. There was a bit too much pressure on the bot lane, and what Karin was thinking right there was pretty much just to get TOP a back in the bot lane.
Yeah.
I don't think that was worth it for a Paranoia, though.
This will be the first back of the game as well for Chocho. In fact, neither of the AD carries have gone back, so we'll get to the point where we'll be quite a nice back for SMLZ, moving towards that Quincy's Rage Blade, and Flawless coming down with Doimbi and Kahlua moving in from the bottom lane, just contesting this vision down in the river.
Yep. You really do want that Paranoia power spike to come in with the level 6s from your bot lane to guarantee that snowball.
Yeah, it's got a relatively long cooldown as well.
Pretty much. Yeah, with that out of the way, I think Rogue Warrior's bot lane can play very safe and very aggressive in the next couple of minutes.
Meanwhile, in the mid lane, we've still got this Galio and the common matchup. Korn's got a lot of extra time just to try and farm up as Doimbi has been roaming. But also, it's the combination we're waiting for as well from Karin and Korn. And to get that, basically it's double ultimates down onto Rogue Warriors in team fights. But again, it's always a problem if you fall significantly behind in the early game as TOP against Rogue Warriors. We'll have the same result as game 1, where they got to team fights and Rogue Warriors were just stronger.
Rogue Warriors do have a very strong mid lane skirmishing team fight. Their first item spikes are very good in terms of the Athene's Unholy Grail. It's one of the most cost-efficient items you can have at the first item slot. So, the first dragon fight should be a very easy call for Rogue Warriors, and I don't think TOP can contest very well.
Yeah, definitely waited. There will be Paranoia and the Grand Entrance, or Hero's Entrance, available for it from Karin and Korn. First Dragon will be Cloud once again, but Rogue Warriors, they've shown propensity to actually prioritize that one now. Nice dodge from Kahlua, using stand behind me to get in front of SMLZ, and dodge that damage out from Chocho.
Oh, that was a really good setup from TOP. If they landed that, he had the last shot and also leading into the ultimate. So Kahlua being able to dodge away was very significant right there. It saved him at least 400 HP.
Going to be a flash forwards right here. Chain of Corruption lands onto Phage. He's actually going to cleanse out of this one, even though he was stood still. There was probably like 0.5 seconds left on that one, expecting more Rogue Warriors members to come to the bottom lane, which they are. Karin is tracking Doimbi currently, and Karin will actually look for this 1 versus 1. That's a lot of burst damage. Flashes over the wall, and again, summon a burnt, but the Paranoia doesn't net a kill.
Yeah, so I really like Dornby respecting that. Ooh, but they're still going
Oh,
for
yeah,
more.
Fate has to flash away from this one, but the Tam Kent, he's not long for this world. Teleport into the bottom lane from TOP. And I think Rogue Warrior is just going to let this one happen. It will be cancelled in the end. And now, maybe they'll just look for the dive again because the TOP teleport has been cancelled. Now Chocho, by his lonesome underneath the turret, will be the second casualty.
Oh, wow. That was Dornby running circles around Karin. So you could see that Karin was moving towards the mid lane. He didn't think that Dornby would actually move towards the bot. And what that did was that opened up a 4v2 on Rogue Warrior's side, and Karin didn't have the paranoia anymore to follow up. So really smart play by Dornby, flashing out and then pretending he was scared and then coming back around.
Well played, Rogue Warriors. That would be 2 kills. Bot lane tower has taken a lot of damage as well. And Kahlua, he was interrupted on the recall, but he'll go back to base as well. So the tiniest bit of tempo lost right there with the Dustbringer. But as you said, these early paranoias haven't really worked out in the favor of TOP, and Rogue Warriors are starting to gradually accrue those advantages because they will make plays, they will make those set plays in the early game, and more often than not, they would just work out.
Yeah. This is, like, I just feel like Rogue Warriors, they're on a level that TOP simply hasn't really thought about. Their individual movements, the ability to catch people out, like they've done this so many times. Even in game 1, we would see Rogue Warriors running circles around TOP players in the bot lane, just going in and out of the brushes and catching TOP when they didn't expect it. And this is happening so many times. It's a bit weird. Like, either TOP don't have the comms to really coordinate it, call it out, or they just don't have the ability to read these offensive plays from other teams.
Karin is about to get his ultimate back, and I feel like I've seen this one before in the exact same position, but this time there's no flash out from Dornby, so we will get caught out by Karin and go down. Nice assist there from Phage as well.
Oh, that amount of damage. Oh, that was pretty impressive. That was basically all Nocturne's damage going on to Dornby.
Yeah, full damage Nocturne in the early and mid game hurts a lot.
Yeah. The trick about Nocturne getting your full damage off is that you want to press your Q before you land on the target with Paranoia. So that way your Paranoia, it has an AD ratio. You also put the Q damage AD ratio into your ult. So you can have a massive burst of damage right there.
And you can also activate your Shroud of Darkness before you Paranoia as well and go in for the dash, and you'll have it for the full duration now. So it's more quality of life thing for Nocturne, but obviously does feel very good for him.
And this is without the guided missile composition. So
yeah,
I really want to see how they can change the hero's entrance into the Paranoia.
That's still yet to happen, though. We haven't really seen some full-blown skirmishes yet out from these two teams. Flawless will be starting off the Dragon and pretty much just taking this one by himself. The team will even collapse and just give him moral support right here, but he's absolutely fine. He'll back away. Karin, on the opposite side, is moving towards his Herald. I'm not sure if Rogue Warriors will be able to stop this from happening or whether they even know it's happening.
Oh, definitely not. If you look at all their members, they're still on the bottom side of the map trying to rotate upwards. Good trade for TOP over there.
Yeah. Going back to the points of Rogue Warriors and how they're playing into TOP, I think it's very interesting if you look at the team's histories, because Rogue Warriors is obviously a much newer team than TOP, as they've just created the team now. But if you look at the players, they're essentially all veterans. Like outside of Kahlua, you're looking at players who have splits on splits, if not seasons of experience. When you look towards TOP, yes, you've now got Karin, you've got Marin rather, and Korn on that team, but like Chocho, Phage, Karin, like these are relatively new players to the LPL.
And I think the inexperience shows. Rogue Warriors is basically punishing the bot lane over and over again.
Oh, stop the Abyssal Voyage. Phage will buy a bit of time for his AD carry, but he CC'd underneath the tower. Glacial Fisher comes out, corners zoning away, but Dornby from the mid lane destroys Chocho. He's tagged onto Phage, and Karin of the Paranoia finds Braun, fights the second onto SMLZ, and this has gone disastrously wrong now for Rogue Warriors, though they are still looking for the chase as they take down the tower. Korn is lying in wait, waiting with the Taunt, and that's going to be stopped with the Galio ultimate. Mouse will look to follow now onto Karin, and Flawless tags with the Undertow, flash forwards from Mouse, another flash forwards with the Undertow, and Rise gets the kill. They're diving the inner turret. The Undertow does so much damage. Turn around from Korn, but he'll also die. And Mouse, he holds the door open, allows Flawless to get out, and Rogue Warriors pull so much off of that play, off the start, which was so bad.
Yeah, Rogue Warriors put themselves in a very bad position. They teleported bot already. If you look at Marin, he did not come down towards the bot lane. So Rogue Warriors were basically forced to go all in that bottom side play in order to trade the loss of the top lane tower. but somehow magically they were still able to clean up all 3 kills. Now, TOP should have read that, and they should have been like, okay, we're just getting out of here, we're going to gain something in the top side of the map, but they thought they could take the fight. Now let's go back to the start of the fight right here. It looks good at the beginning, but Korn really showing up huge in this fight, picking off the bot lane from Rogue Warriors, cutting them off. And Rogue Warriors, look at the position on the map. They're 3-man, and they have to make something work here, or else they're going to lose top tower for free. Korn still stays, and they still want to fight this out. Karin also comes back into the fight, and they just kind of underestimate Rogue Warriors.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it to go that well when they were literally teleporting into a full charged Shield of Duran there from the Galio, but still they managed to turn it around. They dive the inner turret, get all of the kills to kill everybody from TOP. And Rogue Warriors will not only pick up the tower, but all of those kills, so now they have the gold advantage in the early game. That was traded in the top lane by Marin. He did pick up a tower while all that was happening, didn't have the teleport to come into the bottom lane, and TOP still have the Herald, but Rogue Warriors again with the early game advantage.
But that's the point. TOP didn't need to trade those kills in the bot lane. They could have been content just taking the top lane tower. There was no response coming out from Rogue Warriors. And I don't want to see Chocho's cams right now. I want to see Marin's cams. There we go, there we go.
What's the diagnosis?
About
to kill SMLZ?
I need a hard carry.
Yeah, I think so. He's just moving in, and he has the paranoia on top of that. Blows up SMLZ. He chomps him a new one. Floss comes into the top lane, but the damage is already done. The AD carry is dead.
Good play from there. Not resetting on the side of Marin, just laying in wait, knowing that Rogue Warriors was most likely going to rotate towards the top lane.
And that they did, and Rogue Warriors will lose one of their own. Now TOP will move towards the mid lane, push this lane in. Doinby is coming to defend along with Kahlua. We'll see if they can actually defend the tower, though. Mouse is coming in from the bottom side if he's looking for a flank, and Floor is also on the way.
This fight, again, is going to be a lot about mid lane priority. Both teams have a lot of ways to instantly get to the side lanes. You do see the teleport and Realm Morph coming in from Ryze, and also from Karin. If they have mid lane priority, they can paranoia very easily into the side lanes. So both teams are most likely going to be playing almost an ARAM style, I would say. You get the mid, it's much like in chess, you get the first step onto the edges of the map as well.
Yeah, you want to control the middle of the board. The middle 4 squares are definitely going to be very strong for you. Karin. He just used the Rift Herald. I assume it was about to time out, so he has stuck it into the bottom lane. There's also Marin pushing down there, and it looks like Rogue Warriors are moving to the top side of the map, so there's an opportunity for potentially Marin to take this tower, though I'm just watching the warband, Flawless and Mouse, just go all around the world, and they all finally end up moving towards the bottom lane.
There's a potential play for TOP right here, but they don't know that Rogue Warriors members have actually backed. If you look at the bottom side of the map, they have a potential for a 4v2.
Karin's also stepping up. TOP are on the way down. They will beat Rogue Warriors this one if they want to go for it, but the Herald's already dead, and it seems like Marin's just decided to back away from this one, including Karin.
Rogue Warriors have very intelligently avoided disaster in this play.
Oh, where are we going? Are we trapping TOP? Looks like it. Flawless is chasing after Phage right now, but turning attention to Korn, charging up the shield of Duran, but he's been caught out. However, a flash coming in from Doinby, a nice save from Phage. He flashes away and gets Korn to safety.
And look at the amount of ultimates he gets from that play. The question is now, can TOP still defend the bot lane tower? They're looking for a pick of their own. Paranoia is up.
I was going to say that would be the first Raptors Karin's picked up, but he will Paranoia into the fight, and there's the combo. Korn comes down on top of it, triple knockup coming in, and Doinby, he's able to get out of there, but now Galio, he is in way too deep. Phage will save him, and Marin, he's backing away. They've lost Karin, who went very deep at the start of that. SMLZ finds Phage as well. Marin backing away as Mouse is looking for the lockdown. Kahlua chasing after, lands the Winter's Bite, Concussor blows us down, and Chocho opens fire on RW. Will find one. Mouse chasing after now underneath the turret, but is able to get away scot-free. In fact, no one died from Rogue Warriors. That was another kill onto TOP.
All right, so we do have to talk about the botched execution from TOP right there. I think the big mistake there was that Chocho was way too close to the scene. He could not open up with his curtain call damage. That's the major source of your damage. And he was just too close to the fight. He shouldn't have gone in afterwards. So there was no chance for him to actually use the ultimate instantly to follow up. And basically, Rogue Warriors had a very easy time to, one, clean up the Nocturne and also force the backline away from TOP. it just wasn't very well done.
Yeah, unfortunate in the end because it was an opportunity to try and turn that one around. They actually went for the engage on this one. We saw the combo come out.
So TOP's basically Chocho should just open up right there. Instead, he flashes in trying to finish, and he misses out most of his damage on Jin. That was a complete misunderstanding of how they should fight it.
And from here on, Rogue Warrior is able to push through the tower, move towards Marin, lock him down. And now here, Jin finally opens up when he's like 100% in the clear, but the rest of his team is already dead at this point.
Yeah, I don't think TOP really talked about how they should play this composition out. A bit of a missed execution from them. That could have worked better. I think what you wanted to see was I'm sorry, not Killua, but Phage follow in with the Abyssal Voyage and the Cho'Gath. So Abyssal Voyage, Cho'Gath, Paranoia, Hero's Entrance, and then Chocho opens up from the back. That should be the perfect sense of execution. Order.
Yeah.
But Chocho going in and then flashing in for a kill, and then not being able to do any damage was a huge mistake.
Didn't feel good. Rogue Warriors will get more advantages off of that one. Another tower in the mid lane is going to be the mid lane outer, and plus 4,000 gold over to them. They already have 2 Cloud Dragons, and it feels like we've just gotten to patch 8.5. They're just being given all the Cloud Dragons underneath the sun, as it will be a 3rd Cloud Dragon to follow that one. Rogue Warriors are in the upper river right now, placing down a bunch of wards. And TOP are pushing up, though, trying to maintain at least some semblance of control up here so they can at least contest Rogue Warriors. Current will eat the first undertow with the spell shield, but there's not the last axe that'll be thrown from Olaf.
It is important to note that with 4% in combat movement speed, it does give winning teams more of an advantage to close out the game, because losing teams now are they can't get away from them. They can just run at them.
There is no escape. They lock down Marin. He's completely by himself. Flies in with Karin coming into the fight, but now he's just 1 versus 4. Laying down covering fire is the Jin right now, but Korn also just flies in. And I'm just watching TOP, and it looks like I'm watching Lemmings. 1 by 1, and Rogue Warriors will just eat them alive. Another kill, a triple kill to SMLZ.
All right, so another execution fail right there from TOP. What they wanted was that the Nocturne ult is now extended to 6 seconds. So you can actually finish Galio's teleport and then use the homing missile combo we were talking about. What happened there was that Karin didn't wait for the teleport to actually finish. He could have waited for the teleport to finish, and then he would have the Hero's Entrance on top of himself. The extra resistances might have kept him alive longer, and then Chocho could open up from the back. But he just went in way too early and gave up his life for nothing.
It's too early, and then Korn walks up. He's like, maybe I can fight this. I definitely can't fight this. He dies as well. And Chocho, at least he started the fight off with the Jin ultimate, so that was one positive there for TOP. But the rest of the execution, you know, the homing missile, as it were, kind of exploded in flight.
Yeah, this is what TOP seem like to me, is that they're like an alternate rock band that's gone off the far end. So they're putting up a really good concept album, but the music itself is very bad. So like it's a good idea. I can see what you're trying to go for, but it's not refined enough. You know, it's like the first EP.
I see. Well, maybe they'll get better. They are artists after all. Nice knock up there from Marin in the bottom lane. 24 minutes into this game, and Rogue Warriors have a 9,000 gold advantage over to them as they start to group up. They're actually putting Mouse in the bottom lane to try and split push in this one, and Flawless in rotation. Got 3 members in the middle lane pushing up, and they have a Baron, so they won't be able to get this tower on the next wave, surely.
Ooh, at this point, TOP are going to have to look for spare Rogue Warriors members, see if they can catch someone out who's rotating. And Rogue Warriors aren't going to give them that chance. If you look at their comp, they can play a split push with Mouse, but they're choosing to stick all together just because of that Nocturne.
Grouping up, in comes the Nocturne, the follow-up with the Hero's Entrance, but Nocturne is almost already dead. He is dead, in fact. Doinby will finish him off. Gallo, he's into the back lines, but he'll have to flash when he dies almost instantaneously, and now Marin is on the retreat, but that's not going to happen because Mouse is sending everybody to chase everyone down from TOP. Fates is the last remaining member, and with this Cloud Dragon, he is not escaping. 5 for 0 kills.
And that was pretty much a wash. I like what TOP did there. That was the best execution they had on the homing missile composition so far, but really too little too late. And another piece not lining up for them. Phage not able to get the Devour on the Nocturne before he fell.
Rogue Warriors is taking them a bit of time to actually knock down these Nexus turrets because they now need the minions which are coming in. But with 5 members, they can burn all the summoners. They can do a victory dance because as they move on to the Nexus, they show how dominant they are and the difference between them and TOP as they take down the Nexus 2-0.
Great game coming out from Rogue Warriors. Just very solid fundamentals, letting TOP kind of hang themselves, honestly. If you look at this game was actually a lot closer than I expected. TOP didn't lose because of their rotations. They didn't lose because of their strategy. They lost because of the execution. And that just goes to show you how good Rogue Warriors as a team is. They can beat you on so many levels. They can beat you with creativity. They can beat you in team fighting. And they can just beat you with solid early rotating and skirmishes as well.
It really is cool to see Rogue Warriors come back after cross-conference, now back into their own conference and take down teams like TOP, and we can really see the growth that Rogue Warriors has shown this bit. You know, we saw them at the start, and it was definitely a rocky ride. It was like, I don't know whether to be hyped or not, but now I can definitely be hyped. Rogue Warriors are showing that, if not, they are the second best team in the league. They're definitely in top 4 right now, and they are just behind Invictus Gaming. We'll get to see them actually take on Invictus Gaming next week.
Oh, and that's going to be a big match, the potential finals for the LPL Spring. The best 2 teams we currently have. Rogue Warriors, though they don't have a very good record against Invictus Gaming, they are looking very clean as of recently.
But who actually has a good record against Invictus Gaming? No one.
Only RNG does, basically.
And now it's only equal because
we are showing random girls. Maybe those are the girlfriends? They do that sometimes on the Chinese broadcast?
Well, we're showing Doinby, so I have to assume so.
Uh-huh.
Unless they're just trying to matchmaker them.
Oh. I'm not sure as the tournament organizers that's part of our duty to set the players up, but
it's in the small print.
It'd be pretty cool. Just to give a little bit of applaud to TOP, I actually felt like going into the rest of the split, of course they're eliminated from playoffs. I do like their creativity so far. They are trying to find their identity on 8.5. They're not solely relying on Marin to carry them out of games. You can see Chocho going back to the Jhin that he was so good on in 2017. Just reaching for different strategies and also, you know, keeping up with the times. Going for 8.5 Nocturne. That was fun to watch. We saw a lot of potential out of that composition, but we also saw how easy it is to fail.
It also may have been too much innovation too fast because they locked in like the Jhin and also Nocturne, so there was like definitely maybe too many moving parts for them to try and fit together, because when we looked at those fights, it was like the ultimates were not in the right order, and that happened maybe 3 times in a row.
Yeah, so they just failed the execution over and over again. They had a very strong blueprint, but they couldn't bring all the moving pieces together in the right sequence.
Sure.
And that just takes more experimenting. And I'm glad that TOP, you know, they're willing to keep that going. They're not going anywhere. We don't have relegations anymore. They are going to be a permanent part of the LPL.
Exactly. They have time to develop. And I really like your analogy as well. You know, it's like the idea is sound, but it's like the execution on the field. And, you know, they moved towards it several times, wasn't able to make it really happen. But as you said, they have plenty of time to grow, plenty of time to evolve as a team moving forwards. And yes, they are still at the bottom of the standings here, but this is definitely a better TOP we're seeing this split than we saw last split.
Yeah. Definitely, like, it's not Marin save me. It's not like we don't have any hopes. They're punching back, and they're actually winning some games here and there. So we should expect more from them in the coming splits.
Exactly, and they do have some star power as well in the form of Marin. But that's going to do it for the caster desk. We are going to send it over to the analyst desk to take a look at that series.
And through the paranoia, through the darkness, we shall take a look at that series. Thank you, guys. Because now we need to shed some light on what exactly went right with Rogue Warriors to escape from the paranoia dark. I'm just trying to see how long I can get this poetic shenanigans to last. But let's actually get into this, right? Because we had the Nocturne Galio setup for TOP. It wasn't just the Marin show. It was, in fact, from the jungle and the mid lane.
Yeah, and remember in the first game, Rogue Warriors were the innovators, but things are now in the other way around in this case. And, of course, TOP are the ones who wanted to innovate. They wanted to try something different, and I do not blame them for doing that when they are 0-1 down. The composition they have, however, is the thing that we want to highlight first and foremost, and I really liked the idea behind it. Patch 8.5, firstly, the Nocturne was there. The reason that Nocturne, to me, is super good on this patch is the Umbral Blades giving extra healing on camps taken, and that means that you can do the Raptor camp, you get 2 procs of the Umbral Blades off 5 extra health per Raptor, and there's 6 in the camp, do the math, a lot of extra health back.
30.
And yeah, it's more than 1 rotation, though. In a clear, yes. It's not 60, honest either.
You're saying do the
Trick
math. I'm doing the
question.
maths.
I wasn't saying to you to do
Oh,
that.
do the math at home.
The point being that Nocturne is actually very good now and much more healthy in his clears, which is why he has a better experience in the jungle, especially when he's next to all of the level 4 junglers running around like the Olaf, which was his opponent in the jungle position. So I liked the Nocturne, and then they tried to make a combo around it.
Yeah, and this is where we look towards Rogue Warriors answering that. The level 1 invade to take away some of those Raptors and deny the potential health back. And then again, Doinby constantly rotating around that area to track it.
They did. They actually played quite nicely around that Nocturne, as you mentioned, going towards the Raptors and being able to have mid-priority constantly to keep him down. I think a lot of this does come down to the middle lane in this game, in this whole set actually, between them, and the fact that Corn's not able to be unlocked. He's Swain in game 1, so sure, maybe not the best experience, but Galio in the second game meant to have a lot of wave clear, but Galio even got some mana nerfs on this new patch as well, 8.5, making it harder to clear waves consistently. And what we saw was a very efficient, cost-efficient item build from Doinby, leaving lane all of the time. So they answered the Nocturne well, and what you were looking towards was more the combo of the Nocturne and the Galio and what they can get done. And that's why the mid lane priority was so important, because there was no chance to use the combo. There was just no Galio.
So what unlocked this mid lane priority that allowed the Karma to sort of disincentivize the likes of the Nocturne Galio composition?
I mean, a lot of it is, first and foremost, who has control of the Raptor area, and that was attributed to the way that Rogue Warriors played as a full team earlier on in the game. So that was a big part of it that helped a lot. But from the point of the first recall, it was just Karma controlling the lane. Doinby is one of those players that's notorious. He'll use extra mana. He'll use extra resources consistently to try and control mid lane. But this time around, he was just free to roam. He was unlocked. He wasn't doing anything outrageous. He was caught out of position a couple of times, yes, but that was just the Nocturne. And he completely circumvented the strength of TOP's composition by simply pushing and controlling mid lane.
And then, of course, it was just the same old strategy for Rogue Warriors. Focus SMLZ, allow him to carry on the likes of the Varus, just do high HP shred to high HP targets.
And that's what happens in the replay as well that we have in the bottom lane, mostly going around the fact that the Karma was unlocked to go down there. They target SMLZ's lane, and this is a very extended fight. So the thing you have to notice is the Nocturne's about to come in, but the reason that he is here so late to the fight is just because he was at Herald. So Rogue Warriors come down here with full acknowledgement of why they're making this play, what they're looking for with this play, and they will still get the turret. From here, it's just individual strength of the 3 remaining members of the Rogue Warriors roster. Very nice stuff from them. Of course, the Galio ultimate cancelled by Phage trying to keep him alive. But the fight happens for a reason. Rogue Warriors are just such good players that the fight goes better than you would first expect. Where it may have just been a tower and a kill, maybe a tower and 2 kills, it ends up being so much more than that.
And they do all of that juggling to maintain aggro and keep Flawless alive on the likes of that Olaf, because Flawless, he's the guy who's setting up the vision. He's the guy who, normally we say, you... In a scenario looking like this, you want him to be fully unlocked. You want him to roam around as quick as possible. He was just running around dropping wards. Where's Nocturne? What camps can I steal? What lane can I try to set up?
Prevent the darkness effectively, right? And of course, he knows exactly which lane he wants to set up, so placing vision around that area is very simple. And this is interesting, because it was against TOP, it was against Marin. And they choose not to camp the living hell out of top lane.
Another word there. They did have one gank, I suppose a counter gank, but because Marin, it seemed like it was a little disrespectful with that teleport into the wave. He knew Flawless was there and still just ended up getting collapsed upon.
Yeah, for the most part, the vision, like you mentioned, was not just why the fights were successful in bottom lane or they were able to set up control around finding Marin, but also around the Baron as well. The major point of TOP's composition was the giant wombo, was a Nocturne going forwards with the Galio following, but if they control vision, then they're able to generate picks first. Rogue Warriors then get the initiative, even if the combo comes shortly afterwards, because you can't stop the combo from happening. Kill someone, you're pretty much free to go. You win the rest of the fight.
And that's what we heard from Clement and Pulse over the course of that matchup. One person goes in. If they go down too quick, then the rest of the team following in look like lemmings, just slowly falling back off of the cliff there to try to get themselves back in. But looking at these two teams now, Rogue Warriors, we've seen them play the same strategy with the likes of that SMLZ heavy 80, or I suppose hyper carry with the Varus, but they're also adapting around it. It's not just, hey, we're going to camp bottom and get it fed. We're going to counter gank top so that Mouse has a good lane. We're going to make sure we've got vision priority and track the enemy jungler so that we can transition into a mid game. This is a team that has fully fleshed out what it means to have a hyper carry.
They've proven that they can use the hyper carry and they can go down there and they can focus him, but they've also proven that they don't need to go down there and focus him at all. They've shown that through draft, recently picking up the Cassiopeia in mid lane and now picking up the Ryze for the top lane as well for Mouse. They've diversified pretty consistently across the entire map with where their strengths lie, where their ability to carry is, but you always know it's going to come back down to bottom lane eventually. And I think what makes this team so scary currently is you never know when that's going to be anymore. Like, do they get the Karma, in which case they just bottom all the time, diving all the time? Or do they go towards the Cassiopeia and they just go down there once mid lane's already won?
The heavy carry from Doinby, yeah.
Yeah, and that's where I think Flawless is the person that you have to look towards in all of these games. If Flawless can actually get something going, if he can start snowballing, it seems like Rogue Warriors are completely unstoppable.
He still manages to find these openings time and time again. I mean, despite the attempted vision from TOP Karin trying to get him off of the map, it was just so very difficult for him to try to deny that. And we've seen what happens when teams sort of struggle in that regard, but looking at their next opponents with Suning, and just after that Invictus Gaming, these are teams that don't exactly slack off in that regard. Not saying that Karin is a vision slacker, but comparatively, he's got his work cut out for him.
Yeah, he certainly does. Keep your eyes here, by the way, here. Do not.
Right.
Right here.
Look at us. We could start dancing.
No,
that might.
He can start dancing.
Maybe that'll make it more interesting.
Don't worry, I'll bring it back, Dom. I remember what you said. Suda Gaming IG, yes, I think it's going to be a hard thing. But looking at what they did in this game so far, I think the coolest part about Rogue Warriors is that they did show something different. They did show something new. They showed that they can play around their bottom laner, but they also showed that Flawless is in very good form. And going up against these other junglers, I mean, it's a very hard task for him. I think it's a harder task for Doinby.
It certainly is. But regardless of that, though, we did see Doinby actually take the MVP for that game, the man of the match on the likes of that Karma, fully unlocked to just travel around the map and interact with those lanes as best he can. Keep bottom lane safe, roam top, and make sure Mouse has himself a good time as well.
And we can mention this through the draft as well. One of the strengths of Rogue Warriors that allows things like the Karma to exist is quite simply the fact that who do you ban out anymore? You know, like, do you get rid of the jungle champions? There was a Zarya ban from SMLZ in the bottom lane. You've got to ban Karma from Doinby, but all of these things that have to be banned, and suddenly someone's going to get their signature champion.
Yeah, it's a very tough situation for TOP to deal with. That being said, though, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. Our next matchup is going to be up in just a few with WE versus BLG.